Backlash in the books, a mixed bag from top to bottom. There was a little bit of good and a whole lot of bad. So I guess it wasn't as mixed. But to me, a whole lot of bad. Nick Hortze with us. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start at the beginning or at the end? Because
sure,
I think
we could cover
the one
those
good
first
thing was the
matches
end.
quickly.
Okay, yeah. And we're going to talk about this, and we're going to kind of talk about this pay-per-view and kind of compare it to the broad scope of where wrestling is, because this is kind of a microcosm tonight, I think, Nick, of where the business is at in general. We had one really good match. Of course, it's not the greatest match ever, but it was a good worked match, which seems to be all anybody cares about nowadays. And then they also care about their cinematic stuff that we have now, and we have an overabundance of because of the pandemic and because people liked the matches at WrestleMania. Well, now we're just vincing it up, and I don't think we've ever seen anything as bad as what we saw tonight. So we'll get to all that, but hey, let's start at the beginning. Before the beginning, Apollo Crews getting this big push. Hey, yeah, Apollo. Yeah, you're on the pre-show, buddy.
I missed him.
You didn't even see it.
I tuned in at 7. I was too late.
Way to go. Way to push that guy. So he fights at like 6:30. I saw it. He beat Andrade again. No one cares. Great push there of Apollo Crews. Good job. So
how
then
bad
we
of a drop-off for Kevin Owens?
Yeah, well,
what
yes.
is he doing?
Well, and he was on that pre-show. He was involved in that whole deal.
Right.
He came out with a T-shirt and a pink tie on. I'll be honest with you, I didn't even listen to it because I saw Andrade, and every time I see him, I just turn the channel. And I thought of what I just said, and I was done. Then Owens came out, and I'm like, that's interesting. I don't care.
A couple of years ago, maybe 2, 3, he was one of the hottest guys in the industry.
Shoot, dude, even WrestleMania just 2 months ago. I mean,
Yeah.
he jumped off the sign and all that. Now, wow.
Delegated to the pre-show.
With Andrade and
not even
Apollo
wrestling
Crews.
For a run-in.
Yeah, not good. So we go into the most overhyped thing of all time. Greatest match ever. They begin this pay-per-view with, these are the other greatest matches ever. Will this live up to that? And right out of the gate, the very first one they show was Hogan and Andre, which is a very polarizing match all of a sudden the last few years because the entire internet hates Hulk Hogan. We understand Hulk Hogan, the person, Terry Bollea, done a lot of really stupid things in his life. But that doesn't change what the heck happened at the Pontiac Silverdome in front of 93,173 fans, brother. I start seeing things that this match sucks. And then I see, and I'm not going to say who he is, prominent internet guy says, is this really one of the best matches ever? To which I replied, how is it even a question? He then replies, well, they just said it was. That's why it's a question. I'm like, how can anyone think it isn't? Yeah, we all know the work sucked, but everything else in that match was so good that it brought the work up.
Correct.
Everything else around that match, the build, the hype, the pop culture, those two guys are huge. Two of the biggest wrestlers ever, if
We've
not
never
one and
seen
two.
Flash as face and heel in that way before.
The arena, all of that, everything built up. Everything else surrounding that match is so much better than every other match in the history of wrestling. It brings it up. So we get into a little spat. Everybody's got their thing, but it just brings me to the point. And here we go back to today's wrestling. Nick, I've done a lot of talking here. No one cares about any of that anymore. All they care about is in the ring. And yes, it is called wrestling. We don't want to see terrible matches or anything, but it seems like no one even cares about your character, about your gimmick, about the build-up, about the feud, anything. All anybody cares about is what happens in that match, the work rate. They couldn't care less about who's doing it.
the work rates, these will disappear though. I mean, even this Orton Edge, in 5 years, no one will remember this match.
The
I
only
mean,
reason they will is because they built it as the greatest match
maybe,
ever.
but this match, I mean, was it any different than matches we've seen over and over? I mean, they're all the same match. A good match today, if you have a bad match today, that's something to talk about.
Right.
All these guys can work. The
Right.
big guys can work, the medium size, the little guys. They're all putting on 5-star match. Every Monday we get a 25 to 40-minute match that's well worked. I have no problem with the work ethic.
Right.
But it's just I couldn't tell you who wrestled last Monday.
Right.
I don't remember. You know, I mean,
well, you met Kevin Owens. I mean, this guy can do stuff Rey Mysterio used to do back in the
right.
day, and he's not in shape.
And that's all the
Everybody
guys
can work.
All the guys now, and this is also wrestling the same way. Everybody's the same. Savage and Steamboat is special because it was different. If you were to take your match, Brett and the Bulldog, and take my match, Michaels and Jannetty at 94, I believe it is.
93, Royal Rumble.
93. Put them on that WrestleMania 3 card with that Savage match. The Savage match disappears.
It's not as good.
It's not as good because all those matches kind of counteract each other. And that's, to me, what you're seeing today is I'm not critiquing the matches in a negative way. They're well wrestled matches, but they're all the same and they're all well wrestled matches. What's to remember about the pay-per-view if everything's the same?
Yep. If everybody has a great match, nothing stands out. I mean, it goes against, not to sound like Cornette or anything, but it totally goes against everything you've ever heard about wrestling. Hey, don't do that move because so-and-so is doing it later in the night. Oh, we can't do this finish because that finish is being used later in the night. Well, now everybody's diving out of the ring. Everybody's falling onto 20 guys. Everybody's doing everything. So nothing stands out. Nothing is special.
We're not the only ones. Scott Hall is one of the originators of this. Yeah. Remember, don't throw anybody else in the pool. Yeah. If I'm going in the pool, don't throw anybody else in that pool because it takes away from me going into the pool. Yep. You know, we all can't go in the pool.
And because of that, everybody rips on the old guys who were maybe nothing but characters and didn't have the wrestling. I think now characters are maybe even more important today than they were back then because that's what's going to separate you now because everyone can wrestle.
Right.
Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre can dive over the top and nail a dude. So could The Undertaker back in the day. What's going to make you different is being different. And your character is what makes you different.
We're not huge Undertaker guys, but that did make The Undertaker different back then.
He
was the only big guy doing those things. Why would I pay money to watch Andrade when Roman Reigns can do every move he can do?
Yeah. Well, and there you go. Look at Andrade. He has zero character.
None.
Zero. This guy's been on television for, I think, 2 years. I'm not positive when he got drawn up. All I know about Andrade is his name used to be longer. He used to have a last name. That's all I know about this guy. And he's with a really pretty girl. That's all I know. Like, I don't know anything. She has done nothing for him other than say he's a good wrestler. Well, guess what? You lose all the time. Your character is everything nowadays. And especially, we saw it tonight. Let's go to the main event since we're talking about it. When all they're doing, it's not all they were doing. At one point, all they were doing in the match was other people's finishes.
Right. And kicking out of them.
And kicking out of them. And then kicking out of their finishes. This match very much, it was a good match. The match was well worked and everything. It was fine. I couldn't stand all the extras, why they needed to pipe in the crowd like they did. I mean,
it was weird.
They were doing it all night. You probably wouldn't have noticed. It was awful. It was beyond awful. It took me out of the match, and it reminded me a lot of the Taker Michaels match at 25 that everybody loves. I don't hate it, but I don't love it because all they're doing is kicking out of finishes. They're kicking out of nothing but power move after power move after power move. And I'm supposed to be, oh my gosh. Well, if your power moves and your finishes don't work, you should probably get another one.
It's just a move. It's not a finishing move. It's just a move.
Yeah. If it doesn't finish him, what does it do? Nothing.
I couldn't agree. And it's what you're saying. I mean, you have to want to, and you have to want to care about these characters. It's the same thing if you were watching a movie and they just brought a guy on the screen and killed him. Do you care?
Yeah, I haven't gotten to know him yet.
I don't know him. You're right. You know, like when people meet their end in a movie or something, you feel it because you care about the character. I give HBO a lot of credit on this. They really develop characters on their shows to the point where fans are extremely angry when characters are written off. And, you know, I don't like to use the word killed, but killed. Yeah. And, you know, but it's, and they don't do that. I just don't care if some of these guys win or any of these guys win or lose.
No, you don't, because you have no, they're not developed. You don't care. You don't care if they win, lose, get written off, get traded to SmackDown, nothing. And that is what these people who say Hogan Andre sucks don't get, because they probably weren't there yet. They're probably 25 years old or younger, maybe even 30. They don't understand it because they weren't there. And back then, you didn't see Andre every single night. You didn't see Hogan every night. There wasn't 3 shows. If you saw Hogan wrestle on Superstars twice a year, once a year, that was a big deal. These people mattered. You cared about them. You were invested in them. That's why that match is good. Not because of a failed backdrop attempt on the outside with the mat pulled up.
One more. You will not understand, because you've heard me tell you this a million times, and I made you watch this as you come down here. That Battle Royal before WrestleMania 3.
Oh, I watched it last night, dude.
Little Hortze had never been so scared. I had never seen that. And then Jesse the Body, like he was nothing. And I, as a kid, and I know I was a kid and whatnot, but I was terrified.
Yep.
I couldn't. I was almost to the point where Hulk can't fight this match. Like this
Leaping Lanny got busted open on national TV. You didn't see that back then either.
No, and he got stretchered out, I believe. Like he was, and it took the whole ring to throw Andre out. And you're
8 guys.
You're sitting there going, I don't know that Hulk can do this. That's coming from someone who bled the red and the yellow back then. Yeah. I mean, I was a huge Hulkamaniac.
Yeah, they made you care. Like, I guess this made people care because people wanted to see tonight if it would actually be the best match ever. Like, I think that made people care. But they weren't invested in Edge. They weren't invested in Randy Orton. They were invested is WWE going to make a fool of themselves tonight? That's what people were invested in tonight. They weren't invested in Edge or Orton at all. They were invested in, will this company look like an idiot? And one more thing on the moves. What move won the match tonight?
The kick to the head,
right? The kick to the head. A protected move that isn't kicked out of all the time. He hits the kick in the head, and the kick in the head. Oh, my gosh. Wow, what a great thing. That's the way every finisher should be.
Right.
That's the way the curb stomp should be. That's the way the RKO usually is. That's the way every finisher should be. And if you do ever kick out of it, holy crap, he kicked out of it.
And there's a way around that, too. Don't kick out, counter. Don't let the guy hit the move, come up to the guy, like the guy counters your finisher so you don't hit it. Yep. You know, the kick out is what kills it.
Yeah. And you can do it, but you can't do it 2 and 3 times every pay-per-view. And that's what it is. Somebody should maybe kick out of it once a year, if that.
Yes, if that. And when we say, I'm even saying this with the B card guys. Like, I don't want people kicking out.
How are you going to get over? How are you going to get over if you're not?
How many people kicked out of the shake, rattle, and roll? I made the honky tonk. I mean, Hogan was the first I think I saw to kick out of that thing.
I don't
Maybe
even remember.
I don't. But it
I
was
don't-
only the top tier guys that could kick out of the shake, rattle, and roll.
I don't remember him actually ever hitting it on anybody that wasn't,
That's true.
Sonny Blaze on freaking, Superstars or Challenge or something.
Right.
I don't know, man. I didn't hate that match, but I was taken out of it though by all the other crap, the angles, and those weren't too bad. Some of them were. The initial lockup where they're underneath the lockup. What? And here's the other thing. The match was good because it was obviously edited. If they screwed up a move, they could go do it again.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing was edited. Come on, man. I mean, it wasn't live. It was taped like 2 weeks ago.
It again, like you said, it was good. I don't have a problem with the match. My biggest problem was the end, like the last 10, when they pedigree, the unprettier, the angle slam, they're kicking out of these classic finishing moves like they're just an arm drag, and that was killing me.
Well, and it didn't do anything for me even that far because, well, that's not his move. He doesn't know how to hit it correctly. So, of course, he's not going to pin him. That's The Rock's move. He doesn't do that move. He doesn't know how to do that, right? That's like somebody trying to do Kareem skyhook and missing it. I don't do the skyhook. Of course I'm going to miss it. Like, that crap is, it makes, I don't know, dude. Some of this stuff is just so stupid. Like, why do I care if he hits a rock bottom? It's called the rock bottom. It's not called the edge bottom. Like,
I wouldn't have him hit it or use it. No one should use it but The Rock, unless you're giving it to another wrestler as their move now that The Rock's gone.
Well, and then to do it, well, he just hit the rock bottom, so I better hit the name whatever move, the angle slam. Like, that's what you're thinking, where you're sitting there trying not to get your butt kicked. You know what I should do? The angle slam. That's not what someone in a fight's going to think. The funniest part was they get done with the Profits in the Viking Raiders disaster, that had like a dude using the force with a turkey leg falling into a dumpster, dream sequences like it's freaking Wayne's World. Then they say the Edge match is going to be the match that has all sorts of new angles and audio that we've never seen before. Like, what did I just watch then? There's going to be all this new stuff. Oh, the snake in the garbage container wasn't?
And Ryan, we're doing this too again, this is trying to bring the whole issues back in. And I don't know if I've said this on one of your shows before or not. I know wrestling is predetermined, but everything from Game of Thrones to Star Wars to The Walking Dead, they're all fake, right? But they all exist within a world of reality, okay? A Walking Dead zombie can't pull out a lightsaber and start going to town with it. A Game of Thrones girl can't pull out an M4A1 and just start mowing people down. That doesn't exist in that realm. You can't use the Force to call a turkey leg to you. Okay? Like that just it's not like it's dumb. Like I don't get how
Who says you can't?
Right. And when you fall in the garbage, you're not on the Death Star trying to get away from the tentacle thing. And I mean, I'm telling you right now, if anybody was watching that for the first time, they're not going to watch wrestling again.
No, they're not going to be your friend again. No. They're going to see, like, I was sitting there tweeting some stuff about some stuff, and I'm like, I wonder how many followers I'm losing tonight, because people are going to, you could say The Rock and talk about wrestling, and people might be like, hey, bro, quit talking about wrestling. And The Rock's like, what? No, the coolest guy on earth, right? You talk about him, you might lose followers. You start talking about Ivar in a can with a snake on him, pulling a turkey leg, using the Force.
Fighting
ninjas, one of which was Titus O'Neil, I think. I mean,
with a sword. What was he going to do? Kill them? I mean, he was going to stab them with the sword?
I don't know, man. I mean, you just mentioned another one of you and I talk about this all the time. And I did want to mention this, and let's go into the whatever belt Strowman has title. I think the world title or the whatever
WWE.
it is, the blue title. He has the blue title.
I think that's the WWE title.
I think it is. There are certain things you can and cannot do. Like we have always talked about, we don't like Bray Wyatt.
Right.
Because he's Michael Myers. You can't kill the guy. Well, apparently now you can. Now he can be pinned in 3 minutes, no problem. But you couldn't kill the guy. He gets up from everything. He shoots lightning out of his hands. That was always our problem with The Undertaker. Well, if you shoot lightning and crap, why don't you just kill the guy? If you can go boom and something catches on fire, why don't you just shoot the dude with your fire and he's dead? It doesn't work. He just has really bad aim, like the A-Team, I guess. You know, like they never hit anybody. They're shooting guns like crazy. 100 rounds, never hit anybody. The Bray Wyatt, it doesn't work. Yes, wrestling is fake, but that's Michael Myers. This is wrestling. Same thing for me with Braun Strowman, and it always has been. And Nick, go ahead and use your line here because I thought about it the entire match tonight. The entire match.
This was going on. I went and looked this up. The average weight of a minivan in the United States is 4,437 pounds.
That wasn't a minivan. That was a big-ass van.
That's why I went under. Just 4,437 pounds. The Miz is the bigger of the two at 220. Why doesn't he just pull his arms off? Like, he can tip over a minivan. Like,
no, not only a minivan. I believe he's tipped over an ambulance, like a cement truck.
Pulled down a stage.
Pulled the stage at Raw down.
Why would a punch hurt this guy? Like, he can tip over a van. Like, I don't. It's and it takes away from, you know, what was it? 2 months ago, we saw Bobby Lashley. And what I really loved is a cool promo with him flipping tires. And I'm like, okay, he can flip tires. The other guy can flip an ambulance. So, this is not impressive.
The other guy flipped 4 of them with an ambulance on top of it.
So why are you showing me this guy that can flip? You might as well come over to my house and watch me mow my yard. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Well, look at him. That thing's got to weigh 35 pounds. He's pushing it around.
Again, 4,437 pounds. These two guys don't weigh 500 pounds combined, man.
Dude, we talk about it all the time, and he hasn't done anything like that in quite a while. And he did it 2 weeks ago on SmackDown. And as soon as they got in the ring, that's all I thought about. I'm like, why? How can anyone even get close to him? If he's that strong, just walk around like this, and then no one can ever touch you because you're so strong. Like this, flipped a truck. How is The Miz going to get near him?
They actually work the match fairly well with them cheating and getting, like, keeping the tag going in. But I couldn't get over what you said. I don't like those matches too because there's no winner to me. How does anybody leave that match looking good? If there's two guys in your federation, the World Wrestling Entertainment Federation, whatever you want to call it, how can two guys not beat one guy?
Right.
If one guy does beat those two guys, how bad are those two guys?
You're right. And it's not, and all of a sudden I entered Bray's world. Oh, look at this. This is crazy. Ooh. I was white. Now I'm like in some red world. What are we doing here? All right, whatever. Right. And it wasn't like superstars, guys.
No.
This is The Miz and Morrison, right? How many times have they been the tag champs? And they just were like a few weeks ago.
The Miz was a world champ.
Well,
I mean,
right. In a 9-time IC champ.
World title.
They were just the tag champs at WrestleMania. That was like a month ago. They just lost the belts to the New Day, right?
I think they got them. God, there's so many belts.
What are we doing here? And this freaking guy just beats him. But it took him a minute to do it.
It did, but who came out of this looking better? Does Braun look better because he beat I didn't look at either one of those guys individually as a threat to his title.
No.
So I didn't want to really see them, and I didn't want to see them lose because I do actually like The Miz and Morrison together. I think they click well. I think they're a decent tag team, but
those sunglasses, don't
break them up now.
You got those sunglasses, don't you?
What's that?
You have those. The hey, hey, ho, ho, don't you?
No, I don't have the hey. I don't mind it, man. It's not the worst thing on the show.
It's something. I'll give them that.
But it's just, how do they looked bad, man? Why doesn't Braun Strowman just win all the belts then? Why doesn't he just?
It makes no sense. That's the problem with the invincible gimmick. And then once you lose, then what? And how many times have we seen that over the years, man? Just recently with Bray Wyatt. I've kind of felt that way with Strowman the entire time. But we've seen it with other guys in the undefeated gimmick. And it just doesn't work because once you show you're not invincible, where do you go?
It's hard. They almost, and I know you really liked him, Goldberg.
Yes.
We're Goldberg guys from back in the Nitro days.
22 years ago, yeah.
When he got that title, it kind of like especially when he lost, and I'm like, there was no really build to his character in WCW other than he murders people.
Yeah.
That's kind of what he does. And they negated. Now, they did try to do it a little bit later when he was kicking Brett in the head and putting him out of wrestling. But they were trying to build him a little bit more as more of a person and character. But for that first run, it was rough what to do with him when he lost. I mean,
I'll go even the other direction. I said the second he won the title, we were at Jeff's house. He wins the belt. I was a huge Goldberg fan. Like, okay, now what? He just won the belt in like 7 months. Now what does he do? I quit liking him the second he won the belt.
And it was over. And that's, I think, what you were getting at with these guys, like The Fiend and with Braun Strowman. Yeah, it's cool that they're murdering people all the way down the line here. What do you do? No one seems to look past next week.
Yeah.
Or even, I would even say the current show.
Right.
They don't plan ahead. Like, what do you do? How does The Fiend lose if he's unbeatable?
Right.
And that.
Well, and then he did to Goldberg in 3 minutes.
In 3 minutes. It seems weird when that happens and just doesn't make sense.
Well, and the same thing with Brock. I mean, I can't stand Brock. All of a sudden, he's unbeatable all the time. I'm like, I just saw him lose 3 times last year in like a minute.
Right.
What are you talking about? He's unbeatable.
Twice to the same guy.
I could go on all day about that. Hey, let's get back to the show.
Sure.
Girls tag match at the beginning wasn't terrible. I know you didn't like it.
Didn't flow well. Seemed like a lot of moves were off. And I like almost every girl in that ring minus one. Nikki Cross is freaking terrible.
What about Bayley?
I think Bliss is the best female wrestler they have.
And that'll get all sorts of heat, and I don't know why.
That's fine. I don't care. Yeah. She can talk better than anybody else they have. The Iconics are a good tag team. They fit for they're at least.
They have a gimmick. They actually have a gimmick.
Bayley, I'm not a huge fan, but again, this is the best she's been since she's been there. I know that's not saying a lot,
right?
But they're taking a while. Sasha Banks can work. I just didn't. It was just so much going on. I mean, it wasn't the worst match by any means necessary, but I didn't care.
It just was what it was. They're not going to take the belts off those two after they just won them.
I assume, and I hope we got to get it at SummerSlam. If not, I mean, they got to go. Those two girls.
We've been saying that for years. We've been saying it for years. I don't know, man. I don't know when they're going to break those two up. Next match was Jeff Hardy against Sheamus. We have not spoken about this angle. This is an angle before they even did it that you and I have talked for years upon years about. Do not touch this kind of angle. You're a school teacher, Nick. You see a lot of things. You know a lot of things. Shoot, we're old dudes. We know people that have been through a lot of things.
Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about that, just the angle in general, and how, yes, once again, it's fake like Game of Thrones and whatnot, but wrestling still has that.
This is almost
little,
too real.
Yeah.
This is too real. I watch wrestling, and maybe a lot of other people do. It's a nice break from whatever, the drama in your life, your job, your issues, your problems, whatever. To float away into this wonderful place, and just watch TV and let your mind be at ease. There are kids in that audience, Ryan, who are going through the same thing they're doing an angle on at home watching this.
Yep.
I have never liked these, from Jerry and Jake to Scott Hall to the CM Punk Jerichoing. Every time I start to see that road go, I am adamantly against it. I just don't like, it's too close to home. There's too many people really dealing with this, and to make this, which is a major issue in America, drug use, and we have an opioid crisis that I know has been kind of forgotten because of current situations in America, but it's not gone. There's still people with these issues, man. Drugs, alcohol.
Yeah.
To put these are little kids out there watching this, and I'm not saying you have to cater toward the kids on every little angle. There is no place for substance abuse.
The thing with it is, though, in little kids, of course, but the thing with this is, and what separates it from Growing Pains or something, the 80s sitcoms, Daddy Got Drunk angle that they do on sitcoms, is that isn't real. And wrestling still has that little mystique in there of realness to people. And every single one of those gimmicks, angles, whatever that you just mentioned are all people that actually did have a substance abuse problem. They didn't do it with just name a guy. They didn't just say, hey, Xavier, let's do it with you. Big E, let's do it with you. They didn't pick just some guy. They did it with a dude. Now, the dude has to sign off on it. Right. And if he's willing to do it, he's willing to do it. But it makes it even more real because this guy actually did it, which to the average guy sitting at home might not affect them. But to a family that has this problem, it might affect them a whole lot more. Then you have, like last week when they were doing the piss test thing, which was just terrible. But they're doing the piss test thing, and Sheamus looks in the camera and says, whatever it was, kids, don't be like this guy. He's a junkie. He's a loser. That's real. And what? There might be a 40-year-old guy that goes, you know what? I am a loser. Or there might be a 10-year-old who goes, my dad's a loser. Like, and then Nick, then Nick, he lost tonight.
Yep. And to bring back what you said, on those shows that deal with this, go watch any show. You show me the one that doesn't have the end where there's a lesson learned, or something where, whether it be tragic and the person overdoses.
The Full House moment where the music hits and the family all comes together at the end.
You learn at
we didn't get that.
No, he lost.
He lost.
The other guy that orchestrated ruining this guy's life, playing off of making fun of him and taking advantage of demons and things he's overcome, he won.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, and this angle might not be over, but whatever. Now he just was proven right. And there might be a lot of people out there that think that, but according to WWE tonight, Jeff Hardy is a loser. And I don't know, it just doesn't sit well with me. It reminded me a lot of Triple H back in the day, saying really bad things and then winning the match. The heel didn't get his comeuppance in the end. This reminded me of that tonight.
I'm all for bridging with reality, but there's just certain things you heard me the first time I saw it, those Forgotten Sons. I was on the phone to you immediately saying, "This is bad. Don't do this."
Right. And
Oh,
we probably are not going to see them anymore now,
I hope not. And they learn.
especially after the comments online.
You got Ryan. I talk about this with the kids in my class, trying to peak awareness. We still have veterans in this country who are homeless, who are forgotten, who have been neglected.
Right.
Don't play that out in an angle on my screen.
Right. Right. To me, it's no different. I mean, some people aren't going to like comparisons or whatever, but everybody crapped all over Hogan Slaughter when we were at war. You know, there's certain things you just don't do. You don't touch. And I thought it was really bad, even in today's day, especially in today's day. And yes, he's a white guy, but doing cop angles. Like, I don't want to see any cops out there right now. I don't want to see
controversial.
I don't want to see, the Forgotten Sons. I don't want to see cops. I don't want to see substance abuse angles. I mean, and tell me the substance abuse angle that has paid off in the past. None of them. They are all universally hammered, except for maybe Jericho against Punk, which you and I hate and hated from the day it happened. I haven't heard as much, people say that they didn't like the CM drunk angle.
That's the big angle, though. I don't know. The match was fine, and that's what it should have been. Best in the world versus the best at what I do. That's all you needed, right there.
All you needed.
Boom. Yeah. Why do we have to do I just always your fans are real, whether your show is or not. Your fans are real, and some of them are out there going through that.
Right. Well, and think about this, dude. That's a great point. I'm sitting here arguing with people online today about whether the Hogan-Andre match was good or not, and getting fired up, and the other guys getting fired up, and then 8 other people get in on the conversation. That's just talking about, was this match good? Now add some reality and substance abuse in jail time and all this thing. Add that in there. If you're getting fired up about the Hogan-Andre, is it good or not? What do you think people who are hit by this are getting? They're probably fired up. I mean, it just no taste, man. Like, just no taste at all. And again, when did this gimmick ever work? Road Warrior Hawk, massive fail. Scott Hall, massive fail. What are the other ones? There's Jake the Snake, massive fail. They've done this with Hardy before, too. Yes. They have done this with Hardy. The CM drunk Jericho angle, I thought, was idiotic.
And the Hangman ain't drawing ratings in AEW right now either.
I don't know where they're going with Hangman right now. And they might need to think about changing his name from Hangman as well. I don't know when that's coming, but that probably needs to go away soon. Yeah. Moving on. Nia, Asuka. Do we need to say anything, or do we just move on?
I mean, I'm not against countouts, I mean, because you can't every match. I don't think every match needs to have a finish if you're set. I just thought the match was kind of boring. And again, it's because you have 45,000 titles. I just don't care. I mean, right. She's not over. Neither wrestler are big outside the wrestling world.
People hate Nia, and I don't see the Asuka. I don't get the Asuka thing. People love her, though. There's a lot of people that do.
I'll tell you this much, for those people that love her, she's another one. If you're flipping through, clicking the channels, and you turn in, did this with my girlfriend, she was like, what the hell is that when Asuka was on the screen? She was just like, what are you watching? And it is another instant channel changer. Now, again, and this is where all the marks are going to get mad. I know you may, as a wrestling fan, but if you want to expand this sport, the way she's bouncing around and jokey and all, it's terrible. It's just awful.
The thing is, though, and I'll go back to the top of the show, I don't know that people want to expand the sport. This group of fans today, I don't think they care about being on the Tonight Show, about drawing a billion number for your ratings. I mean, they might, if they got it, they might go, wow, we got 5 million people. I don't think they care. I don't think they care that only 600,000 people are watching NXT. They're just like, NXT, yay, Adam Cole's a great wrestler. They don't care. At least to my knowledge. If you think Hogan Andre sucks, you only care about the work. And I got news for you, anybody out there. In at least WWE, the term work rate wasn't even a thing until about 45 minutes before Hulk and Andre took the ring in the Silverdome, okay? It wasn't even a thing until Savage and Steamboat got in there. So don't come at me with this work rate crap in March of 1987, because it wasn't a thing until about 6:30 that night. Get out of here.
And the guys were distinguishable. They all had their different wrestling styles.
Right.
Brutus wrestled different than Honky. Demolition
he was the worst,
wrestled
though.
different than the Hart Foundation. Hogan wrestled different than Bundy. These guys all had differences. You could, if you put like, they all looked the same and there was a shadow and they were just moving in the ring, I could tell you who each guy is. You can't do that today. They all look, they're all the same. If you couldn't, without their weight and look, if they all were just like the same silhouette moving, I don't think you could distinguish the wrestlers in the ring today.
How come no one tells me that Babe Ruth sucks?
Yeah.
Where's that crowd at? Babe Ruth's terrible. Lashley against Drew, Universal title.
Love the match.
Surprisingly good match, Nick.
Love the match. The end was very predictable. I just, again, booking into a corner. Neither one of these guys could afford to lose this match. You're building up Bobby Lashley again, trying. Drew McIntyre's fresh off a win at WrestleMania, fresh off a defense at the last pay-per-view. Neither one could lose, and you had to have a loser. I would have set this match up for SummerSlam, but that was just me.
The problem is they don't have anybody else for Drew to fight.
That's true. Yeah. And the ending was very predictable, and right. I am terrified we're going back into a Lana Lashley angle here on Monday night.
Well, obviously. I mean, they've been hinting at it for weeks. I mean, we all knew what was coming tonight was coming.
I thought they didn't like that, though. I thought they even admitted the Lashley-Rusev-Lana thing was terrible.
Who knows? Well, and then MVP came out of nowhere. So they totally rebooted the whole thing again. They completely rebooted the whole thing again when they brought MVP back. My problem with this, whatever, the match is fine. As boring as Lashley is, he's not a bad worker, so this was a good match. Here's my problem. And really once again, this has nothing to do with no fans. They're going to ruin Drew McIntyre. He does nothing but fight Zelina's guys week after week after week. Those guys suck. I don't care how good they can work. They don't have gimmicks. They have nothing. There's no reason to like them, and they constantly lose. They are jobbers. He fights them in the main event every freaking week. Yep. That wears on you. I don't want to see Drew anymore. I don't want to see him fight these losers. Now, he's fighting some variation of MVP every week. Where did MVP come from? I didn't want to see MVP in 2006. Now he gets world title. He's in the main event against Drew. And now the finish tonight. Match was fine. I like Drew, man. I like him. But if they keep putting him out here in boring things, what's everybody talking about this match? I saw it all over. Great match. Love the match, but the finish was terrible. But.
You saw it coming.
The whole thing was about Lashley. It wasn't about Drew. Drew, your champ, your number one guy, was just kind of there. Like,
yeah.
And there's no one else for him to fight, though. What are they going to do with him? Because no one else is built. There's no one else good on that freaking show.
I
And
can't
people
think
can
of.
be mad about Heyman getting fired or demoted or whatever all they want. Who has he made?
He's
There's
gonna
no
have.
one.
He's gonna have to fight Lashley at the next pay-per-view again, I assume.
Yeah, you
I
would
mean,
think because he didn't really lose. He got distracted. Beat
but
Bop.
well, now who? You're right. Name the guy that's gonna headline the pay-per-view.
Who's he fighting at SummerSlam? Who's over on Raw? There's nobody.
You better hope Roman's back.
I mean, freaking, Drew even came out of nowhere. He was jobbing to everybody. He was Shane McMahon's lackey all year. I think Ziggler beat him.
Ziggler gave him his first loss 2 years ago or something. Yeah.
It was less than that. It was like last year. He was losing to everyone. I think he lost to everybody. I think Cedric Alexander beat him. And then all of a sudden, he wins the Royal Rumble, and now he's great. Like, they're going to have to do that with somebody else because there isn't anybody for him to fight.
And it's just not believable. And this is how they build. They don't build, and I call it the Bret Hart build, is the way to go. The way they built Bret Hart, he was not, he went a little ways. You're not ready, Bret. Got to go back in the tag for a little bit. And then they brought him up IC champion a couple times.
Yep.
And then he moved up the ladder. You got these guys like, and who we even liked, the one guy they put the belt on. Why can't I think of him? Several years ago, Jinder Mahal, great gimmick, but we watched this guy job. I don't think he won for 10 years.
It was 3 years, 0 wins,
and he all of a sudden wins your world title, and now
boom, just like
and they
that.
did the same thing with Apollo Crews. They did the same thing with Drew McIntyre. These guys were all just losing. And they're like, oh, it's Bobby Lashley. This guy got beat to hell last year.
All year. And now all of a sudden he's a monster because MVP's with him.
You can't just switch this like this on me and expect me to forget everything you've told me.
It really worries me because I think Drew is good. But if you keep putting him in here with these bums, it's going to be like Diesel. Oh, he's the worst drawing champion ever. Well, look who he's fighting.
King Mabel wasn't helping.
I mean, look who is on that roster in 1995.
It's terrible.
And they kept him away from Bret till the end of the year.
They didn't let him fight Taker until he was leaving.
Right. He didn't fight Taker. He fought Mabel. I don't remember if he fought Sid. He didn't fight Michaels because they were boys at that point. On again, off again thing.
I like Lashley too. I think Lashley could have been awesome.
By the way, he fought Michaels at 11. I know that, but I'm talking about,
Right, I get what you're saying. Yeah, they didn't fight people. I mean, they didn't have guys to go up against him. They didn't build guys.
Who's this guy going to freaking fight? Humberto Carrillo every week?
Main event anywhere in the country.
He's already fought these guys. The other guy that hits on the Charlie Caruso every week, Andrade, who's jobbing on the pre-show again. Look, who's he fighting? Kevin Owens was on the pre-show tonight.
I assume you're going to get a heel turn with Owens, but
he already fought freaking Seth too, right?
Yeah, he murdered Seth.
There's nobody else. He's had the title for 2 months. Who's he fighting?
Who's big enough to headlines? They're going to.
AJ Styles just went to SmackDown.
You know what? I wouldn't be shocked if it's Goldberg.
I won't be shocked if it's Charlotte.
Yeah.
Since she's on every show. Yeah, she's fighting everybody else. Winning every title there is.
They'll have to bring someone. I mean, maybe they throw money at The Undertaker. Because they're going to have to do something because there is not a guy that, because you've already done, obviously this Lashley feud can't go until SummerSlam.
Oh, gosh.
There's no, you wouldn't think, right?
You can't.
And then Seth Rollins is already down. Who else on Raw can this guy fight?
I don't know, man. There's nobody. And who are you going to bring over from SmackDown to fight him?
And don't tell me Otis, because Otis ain't main event.
I don't know. All right, man. So as soon as I say this, something else is going to be worse. One of the worst things I've ever seen in wrestling. I saw one person compare it to, am I watching Nitro from the year 2000? The Profits against the Viking Raiders, who have done nothing but these idiotic basketball, bowling, archery things, which I honestly, after the second week, I have not watched. I didn't watch the decathlon thing. I just turned it, so I don't even know what happened. I don't even know what to say about this, man. I'm all about, and I keep screaming at them to do something different. Get out of the ring. Like, okay, you can do whatever you want now, so do something different now. But when they do, it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sick of interviews in the ring, then one backstage with Charlie, then a 4-segment match, then another interview with Charlie. I want something, but they give us this unfunny, forced, unfunny comedy stuff all the time. And it just is so bad, Nick. Go ahead, man.
I didn't hate, again, I'm trying not to hate those things they did with the Street Profits. They're not great, but I'm with you. They're trying something outside the ring. Okay, I'll give you that. But they go so overboard or unrealistic,
Yes.
over the top. And you're just like, this is the stupidest thing I have ever seen in my life.
They vince it
And
all up.
this was just the worst of like all those combined together. This was just terrible. And they make these guys look like jokes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not. This is your tag champions.
We didn't like the Viking Raiders as it was ever, but they're done now. Like, what can you do with these guys now? Like, they're going to be real serious Vikings now?
They have to be a comedy sketch now.
Yeah.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, the idea of Viking Raiders in the first place was just not probably the best creative choice, but it was the whole thing. I mean, even immediately when they pulled out an axe, you're going to hit the guy with an axe on TV.
Right.
Like, I mean, an axe? Like, I'm going to watch murder happen at Backlash. Like, it just, and then
we watched dudes get launched off the Titan Tower at whatever it was, Money in the Bank.
But what was the purpose of the ninjas? Like, I don't get it.
It's funny. You didn't think that was funny? That's hilarious. Huh.
Oh, I missed that. Ninjas are funny?
What, that wasn't a regular Dave Chappelle out there? You didn't think that was hilarious? He went like this and Mr. Miyagi or something. Yeah.
Everything looks so, and again, it's just one of those moments. I'm telling you, people, and I guess if your people don't care about expanding the sport, and if you don't care about expanding the sport, then the product's going to get worse. That's with anything. And I tell people this, whether it's pro sports, whether it's a television show, or if it gets bigger and better, more people want to come to it. I.e., you're going to get more talent.
Right.
You know, this is not. It's not good.
No,
I mean, I guess
I can't keep my eyes on it. Like, I kept going onto my phone. I couldn't stop going on my phone. I'd start watching and somebody would do something dumb, or they would like say something that wasn't funny, or bite a turkey leg or something, or the 4 guys who are supposed to hate each other and are beating each other up or goofing around with each other. Just, and I'm going to tell you, this is exactly what you and I said at WrestleMania. And you can probably pull the tape up. And if I have time to do it, I will. I'll go pull the tape up and drop it right in here. We said this was going to happen.
Yep.
When everybody loved that Boneyard match,
and the Cena thing,
which I could do an entire another show on that right this second. I hated that crap so bad. I said, be careful what you wish for, because Vince is going to hear that the whole world loved it. And this is what you're going to get from now on. This is what you're going to get. And he's going to Vince it all up. And that's what we've seen at the Money in the Bank. That's what we saw in whatever the crap this Profits Viking match was.
Yep.
And kind of what we saw in the Edge Orton match, which was a good match. But they gimmicked it all up. They Vinced it all up. Or Bruce Pritchard did it all up, maybe I should say. Like, it's just too much, man. The line is here, and they go way over there every time.
And it's also, when you're doing comedy today, probably the best idea to get guys is not to use guys who are like 55 and older to design the comedy. I'm not saying that all the time. I'm not. Some people are very funny, you know, they maintain humor, but their creative team is out of touch with anybody. The 5 fingers to the face. How long ago was that? Is that 2005?
Oh, that's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, because I said something about Chappelle earlier. Yeah, that's 2004. That's the Rick James sketch.
Like, I mean, it was funny when
it's still funny, but it's not funny when the Viking Raider guy says it. It's funny when Rick James says it.
Yes. Just way out of touch with the times. I mean, with their comedy.
This is one of the worst things I have ever seen. Like, it makes, I know wrestling's not real. This makes an absolute joke. And I felt like an idiot watching this.
I'd probably rather watch Fuji in Morocco.
Probably.
People can rip on Nitro all they want. They were ahead of the game on this stuff, man. When they were doing this, you guys, if people want to see how to work the camera backstage, go watch the Nitro where the NWO jumps the guys out back.
Yeah, I mean, if we got anything ever even half that good. And there you go. That's a great example of something they could be doing instead of, and they did that a little bit. The dude got speared through a glass door today, which was kind of cool. Yeah. But the 1 second before it and the next 10 minutes after it was total nonsense. So, like, I didn't even care that, wow, a dude just blasted through the window. Like, I totally forgot about it.
It could have been a street fight, and I'm not against that. And you know, one of my favorite WrestleMania matches is Piper Goldust.
Yeah.
I love that
match. Which
match.
people think is terrible, but they like this.
What the hell? They could have done just a street match with these guys outside. It would have been fine.
They're the prophets of the street. Put them out there.
Sure.
I don't know, man. And again, if I didn't say this already, I'm going to say it again. The person that told me Hogan Andre sucked, it sucked, quotes, it sucked, said he liked this Viking Raiders Street Profits match. Thought it was great, but Hogan Andre sucked.
It wasn't a match. It wasn't even a match. They said
I don't care what it was. You could name it a peanut butter sandwich. It would have sucked.
I don't.
It was terrible.
And I think maybe it's because it is and these people, a lot of them, they want to feel like they know something more than you. Like they're seeing something you're not seeing. You know, I know why this is funny. You not getting it is what's wrong.
Yeah, right. Well, and I saw, that's a great point. And I saw Jimmy Corderas say this tonight to somebody. He hated that. And he normally is nice to WWE, former referee Jimmy Corderas. He said, well, I know what and I can't remember what he calls it. He calls whatever his bad thing of the day was. He goes, I know what that's going to be tomorrow morning. Obviously referencing that match. And somebody was like, whoa, I liked it. And he's like, oh, good for you. And then the guy was like, well, it was different. It was different. So I liked it.
Does that
I
equate?
say this all the time to people. Different does not equal good.
Right.
Good equals good. Different equals different.
Glacier was different. We had never seen that before. Wasn't good.
Glacier wasn't good.
No.
And you can thank me for never seeing him again.
That's true.
Saginaw, Michigan. Glacier sucks chant. Who started that? Anyway, different doesn't equal good. Like, how do people not understand that? Like, I appreciate you trying, but you got to stop with this stuff.
And we've said this before. If they could look at it, go watch the primetime videos on the network. That is how they should be gearing Raw right now with this pandemic going on. It is a way to showcase talent, as a way to look at guys, take some time breaking down each match and talking about it as if it's real, like as if it's a real debated sporting event, you know? And because what they're doing, you've said it, you know, and I get it. The fans are part of it. If there were fans,
sure.
But if there were fans, they would not be getting a 5 million person audience on
You're
Monday
right.
night.
Yeah,
There's
you're
no
making
way.
excuses. Sure, it is a little different without fans, and I personally liked it silent compared to this fake fan stuff they got going on.
Me too.
But it wouldn't make it, they wouldn't all of a sudden be getting 3 million viewers a night Monday night. They're getting 1.7 for a reason, because no one wants to see this crap.
Right.
I mean, the way the show is structured is terrible. And again, when they do leave the building, when they do try something different, we get something like this match tonight. So this match, this was a massive thumbs down for me tonight. Obviously the high point was the greatest match ever. But it was ruined for me with the piped in noise. And
too many
the best part of that match for me, honestly, for the first time in over 10 years, at least 10 years, the announcing was good. They were selling this like it was a big deal. I didn't feel like I was listening to Gorilla and Jess, but they gave me that feel where like Gorilla and Jess would make the Coco Beware against Rick Martel seem like it was a big deal.
Right.
These guys did that in this match. They sold it. They were excited. They were giving the emotion. They were talking about the story. They were selling the moves. Do that every time.
And that's, yeah.
What do you get away from whatever they've been doing? Do this. That was good. But the piped in noise and whatever, massive thumbs down. Nick, I know you're the same, but as a business, man, this is what it is, and this is what every pay-per-view has been. This is what King of the Ring was like this. The Raw and SmackDown are like this. Where do we go? How do you fix it?
I don't know. And that's the other thing. We've talked about this. These are not memorable because they're all the same. You've got too much wrestling on right now. I mean, 3 hours on Monday, 4 hours if you count both shows on Wednesday. Right. If you're a TNA guy, you got 2 hours on Thursday, then you got 2 hours on Friday, and then you've got a pay-per-view a month from the WWE and one every now and then from AEW and TNA. It's too much, and I don't know how they fix this. Because obviously we're not quitting this, so I don't.
Right.
And the matches aren't bad.
Well, other people are quitting it.
Yeah,
you know. And they're quitting it a lot. A lot of people are.
When you've got me and you, and I've tuned out the 3 of the last 4 Monday Night Raws. You've heard me say, I didn't finish watching them. I went to bed. Not turn something else on. I text you and
right.
I went to bed.
Right.
I would rather go to sleep than watch.
You're a teacher. You don't have to work tomorrow.
No, I'm off for the summer. I got nothing to do. I might as well. Hell, I'm awake now. I'm going to go watch Return of the Jedi or something. But I sure as hell, I'm not going to go watch wrestling.
You already saw your thing rolling around in the trash compactor tonight.
I know,
you don't need to see that anymore.
But I'm not going to want these pay-per-views. No, they're not. Again, and I hope people realize we're not critiquing the work ethic. We've said that we get what you're saying. The
matches were fairly good tonight.
Yes, they're fine. But again, I will reiterate this on every show you do. I would rather have a guy that is a 4 in the ring and a 9 on the mic than a guy that is a 9 on the 9 in the ring and a 4 on the mic. If I said that right, you got to be able to talk me into the building like that. That's
my problem with Charlotte, and that's always been my problem. And this massive thing has apparently finally started. What I've been saying for years. Now that she's on all 3 shows, everybody's pissed. She's overexposed and whatever. She's the best female worker there is. That girl is awesome. She can work, man. She can work. Problem is, I've seen her fight everybody on earth now for the past 5 years, over and over and over and over and over again. She's been turned good and bad about as much as the Big Show has.
And you can't tell 5 years. Usually, you can't tell if she's a heel or a face, depending on when she comes out and who she talks to.
She's already been to the top of the mountain. She's won the belt 12 times, counting NXT. 10 times in the bigs, 2 NXT titles. She's been here for like 5 years. She's already won that many. What is there left for her to do? Now she's on all 3 shows. I've seen her win. I've seen her lose. I've seen her in the main event of WrestleMania. I've seen her do freaking everything. I've seen her good and bad and good and bad and good and bad and hate her dad and love her dad. I've seen it all. And she talks like Rosie the Robot from the Jetsons. And that is more important than anything because I've already seen all her work. Now she can't talk, so there's nothing else she can do for me.
No.
That's the problem. And that's why you're getting this feedback. What is she going to do? She can't talk me into the building.
No.
What's she going to tell me? And even if she could, what's she going to tell me? Because I've already seen her do everything. I talked about this with someone else last night, and we'll finish it here. It comes down, they need stars.
Yes.
This company has only ever been big when you had a big star. But how do you get a big star? Good writing. Yeah, I mean, you got to have somebody with the charisma. But you have to have good storylines. You have to have good writing. You have to make people care, as we've stated 1,000 times tonight. And they don't have that. And that's where it starts. And until they figure that out, making people care about dudes, and they have to start by not doing the Jinder push, not doing the Drew push, where he sucks for a year straight, and then all of a sudden he wins the Royal Rumble with a 2-week push. Like, that doesn't work for me, brother. Like, you can't do that.
Right. And I don't think people, and before people tear us up, we like a lot of the guys today. I could go down here, I could go, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Alexa Bliss, AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan. I like Jimmy and Jey Uso, Seth Rollins. I love Seth Rollins. He loses all the time, but my problem is not the guys. Like, I don't.
It's the position they're put in.
They're good at. I don't know that they've ever had so much talent. I mean, they've got a lot of talent there. I don't know, but I don't know that they have a guy.
At one hand, I hear, oh, these guys, they never put anybody over back in the day. And then I hear about people complaining about 50-50 booking nowadays. Well, 60-40 is not good either.
No.
They got to have some guys that start right. Dudes, every dude you just named, all those guys need to win and not lose. And when they lose, it's a big deal.
You can't just have B wrestlers. You have to have an A, a B, a C, and a D crowd.
Yep.
Somebody's got to be Coco Beware. Somebody's got to be Barry Horowitz. I'm sorry. Somebody's got to be that guy.
No, that's a great point. And how many A dudes do they have? Do they have 2 right now? I mean,
an A dude, though.
Huh?
Who would be the A?
Well, that's what Drew, obviously. I mean, Braun isn't. He's your champion right now, but he's not an A guy. He shouldn't be.
if they brought Drew McIntyre out on Good Morning America, what percentage of that audience would know who the hell he is?
-3. Nobody. Hats off to Edge and Orton. They did not embarrass themselves with the greatest match ever. People are not going to come away from that and go, those idiots.
Right.
That no one's going to. They had a good match. It had flaws, and the production of it was terrible. But it wasn't Edge and Orton's fault. And Edge is hurt, apparently. Torn tricep. That sucks.
That does suck. He's great. I love Edge, too. So
that's not like a bad injury, but that's like 6 months probably.
And he's not a spring chicken either anymore, where he can heal really quick. I mean, he's
47 or something like that.
So, yeah.
Right. So who knows? I mean, he may just say, "Hey, I just had a sweet match. I'm done. I just had the greatest match ever. I'm done."
It wouldn't be if someone out there is listening, it wouldn't be a bad match to end on once you've had one good match rather than keep going, man.